So I kept meeting with my one Catholic friend who's practicing his faith, and he challenged me on an area that became, for me, sort of an Achilles heel. And that's, he said, well, it's great that you believe in the Bible, but did you know that my Bible has 7 more books than yours? And I said, oh, great. Not only are Christians divided, we even have different Bibles. And that poses a very big problem because I believe the Bible is the sole infallible rule of faith. But my Bible has different books than his. And so not only are we not united, one of us is right and one of us is wrong, or we're both wrong. And this started disturbing me because I thought, well, if we're both wrong, then I'm basing all of my beliefs on the Bible, which might include books that are not inspired, that were accidentally included, or be omitting books, like my Catholic friend says, that were inspired, that we forgot to include. So that started me down the path of looking into the canon of Scripture, the books that make up the Bible. And I was trying to understand how Protestantism could say, we believe the Bible is the sole infallible rule of faith, the sole infallible rule of faith. But how do we get those books then? How do we know that the process through which those books were chosen was also infallible? Because then that means there's some other infallible process that happened. And all that means is that God was involved, right? God's the only one who can protect something from error. We as humans are going to go off the rails by ourselves and our own devices. So it was up to whether God did that or not. Did he protect someone or something from error in choosing those books? The Catholics said, yes, he did. He guided the early church, led them to know that those were the right books, that those were the ones he inspired. I, as a Protestant, though, couldn't believe that because I had already seen that these early Christians had gone off the rails, believing in baptismal regeneration and Christ's real presence in the Eucharist, which I didn't believe. I believed it was just symbolic. They had priests and they had this divine liturgy or Mass. They had bishops and believed in apostolic succession. So I had at that point then a very stark possible divergence in these paths. It was a fork in the road. Either the church had gone off the rails pretty early on, and if that were the case, I couldn't be even certain that the Bible that I had accepted as true, these 66 books, were the true ones. What if the church had erred on those books too, just like it had erred on all these other doctrines? Or, in fact, what if God had actually preserved the church from error? Not just on the books of the Bible, but also on the sacraments and on all these other teachings that she had. That's what set me on the path then of investigating each of these different Catholic claims to find out whether or not they were reasonable, whether there was any substance to them or not.